Hey Nicholas, welcome back. Hi Ben. Hi Tejas. Can you all hear me?
Hey,
Hey.
Yes.
Hey. Okay. So again, let's quickly go over where we are. We made good progress during the last 3 days. Rob had to step away for a few days due to a personal emergency. He's fine. Everything's okay. It's just he only contributing probably mid this week or late this week, like at the end of this week, I would say. That's what he told me. He'd be back sooner, but you never know. So just that update. We have a spec PR um, waiting on some changes, responses to comments. I think we addressed them last week, and that needs to be done. And I'm the one that is working on that right now. Okay, so that was a quick update about what's happening with that. Now let's actually quickly go over the milestones, and I want to get an update from everyone on where what they're working on. So again, the current milestone is demo and API review. The deadline for API review is coming up fast, or for submitting the API review is coming up fast. We have just one pull request in the spec repository that needs to be merged before we go up to the API reviewers and ask them to start looking at our proposal. And I believe we need to update the KEP as well once the spec is updated. Is that right, Shing?
I'm sorry. I was checking something.
Yeah, no worries. So we need to update the KEP as well, right? Before the API review.
You need to update the cap, right? So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You need to update that. Just right now, I think it says provisional. You change that to do you already have the new format? It's in a folder, right? It's in a
it's already in the new format. Let's
also you need the production readiness review. That should be easy. Just I think there's only like a few questions regarding the feature gate, like how you enable it, things like that. So it should be easy.
So this is not community, right?
Enhancements.
Yeah. And let's see. Storage.
It's in the right format, except that we need to add the changes that will come out of the outstanding pull request in the spec repo. So.
All right, so this is the right format, right? We have it under
that's correct.
Okay.
So there is a section about production readiness. I think you should just fill out the, I think there's only one section that you need to fill out, which is about the feature, how to enable the feature, things like that.
Got it.
Easy, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think we've made quite a few changes between when this was merged and right now.
Yeah.
I think we have to update the APIs and also descriptions based on all the discussions we've had.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Jeff, if you're there, or Srini?
That's true. Yeah, that's
okay.
What
and would you know what those changes are?
We have to wait for the PR on the spec repo, and once that is done, it's a lot easier for us to update the cap.
You waiting for Saad?
No.
Yeah, Saad has commented, and
okay.
yeah.
We're not waiting for Saad. We're waiting on me, actually.
To addressing the comments?
Yeah, to address the comments.
Okay.
So, what is this? Container objects interface spec. So the key thing that I still need to finish is auto-generating the cozy.proto file from the spec.
That part, I mean, you probably should ask. You probably don't have to be in there right away before you start the API review. Maybe you can ask him. Can that be done? Like, because I'm thinking that probably should start the API review sooner because that your cap is pretty big, right?
Right. I see what you mean. Okay. I mean, it's not too much work. It's just something that needs to be done.
Okay, yeah, if you can get that done, of course, that'd be better.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but if you take longer,
Yeah.
you just ask him, like, if you can.
Oh, yeah. It shouldn't take long. Probably
Okay.
by the end of the day today, I should have all of it put together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Once cap is merged. So Srini, do we also have to make changes to the API repo?
API repos changes, we did that and the PR is out, so we don't have an issue with that. But I have another PR in the spec repo that Jeff had made more comments over the weekend. I fixed them. So I pinged Shing to take a final look at it because that's we decided we are going to extract the proto file from this.
Right. That's what's holding me back too. Like this needs to get merged, right?
Yeah, if that is, I already tested it. I haven't issued a PR yet, but it will extract the data from it appropriately. But I might go through this in a couple of iterations. Right now, the entire dot proto is one section in the document. The way CSI did is not
I'll
have.
I'll give you a higher resolution picture of this, by the way.
Yeah, we can do that. But main focus is right now having these messages clearly marked so that they will be extracted out by the makefile to build the proto.
Yeah, so the way I was thinking about it was we should just have these 3 backticks followed by, say, protobuf.
Yeah,
And
I already
whenever it's...
did that. That's what I'm saying. Basically,
Is that what you've done?
it's a single
Oh, there
section
it is.
right now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that should do.
But the
How do
way
you find the end?
Yeah, that's it.
How do you find the end?
By the 3 ticks.
No,
So
it starts with protobuf, and then the first instance of the 3 backticks means you've reached the end. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that will be the sections that it will pick continuously in the entire document.
And
So the way CSI did is that they had each of the messages separated out instead of a single blob like this.
That's what I was thinking too. Is
Yeah,
that okay?
I already have them, some of them, but not all of them. So I had one single section, but eventually we will make as I start describing each of the messages, I will probably break them up. Right now, I did not. So
Okay. I think this is fine to start with, like she was saying. Okay, so what about this? Do you have a make generate or something to
yeah, there is
convert?
a make file that we can directly use it from CSI, and it works right now.
Okay, so is it like make generate or what's the change?
It will extract this into a .proto file, and then it will generate the proto in Go. So,
Right. Are there 2 steps or just one?
it's all done in the make when you do a make.
In 1 step. Okay, that's fine. All right. So I made a pull request yesterday on the README file because I'll be honest with you, the README does not make much sense right now. Like this part, it's using HTML. That's the one part I want to get rid of. And also this doesn't mean anything right now. So this also needs to be updated. As people come and look at this project, it's hard for them to tell what it does. So, or how to get started with this. So this PR includes all of Rob's changes. So it should not be merged until Rob's PR is merged. But here's the new updated README file. I think we should explain what this is, and then also explain why this is needed. And then here, how to get started or how to make changes to this repository. I've created it as a separate step. Make generate.
I see. Yeah.
Is that something we can do, or I mean, I haven't made the code change for it, but is that something we can do, or do you think it should just be one
If you
step?
want to do that, we can. If you want to check in .proto, yeah, we can do that. I mean, we just follow the CSI guidelines, so the documentation will be similar to that, right? So
I see.
Uh,
If we can do
another one
this, that would be good. So you can do it in 2 steps, and make all should just do everything.
yeah,
It's like normal make files, just the way it goes.
yeah, nothing is stopping us from doing it this way. I mean,
How much time do you think it would take?
it shouldn't be hard at all. So,
Okay, could you take care of this, Srini? That'll be great. Awesome. Okay. All right. So that means yeah, I'll be done even sooner. Thanks to Srini. Appreciate it. All right. So once we're done with that, if I understand correctly, the the API repo is in good shape. What we need after that is changes to the cap. Correct?
correct. Yeah.
All right. So Jeff is not here. So I'll follow up with Jeff on where he is with the cap. If Jeff is busy, so actually hold on. So Shing, the only change we have to do is make it implementable, correct, or production ready. That one.
This is
Yeah,
alpha,
you
right?
need. Yeah, alpha. But I'm just saying that the production readiness review is one section. I think it's just the first section that requires alpha cap to fill out. It's just like a question, but how you enable this, how you disable these features, things like that. It's pretty easy.
If there are any feature gates, but we are
Yeah,
separate.
same. But I'm saying like for other features, we also have to answer those, right? Like other SIG storage features, they're all like auto tree, but you just still need to answer those questions. Yeah,
I
but
see.
it should be easy. Just at only the first section that is required for alpha cap.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, understood. So in addition to that one part, we'll also need to make changes to whatever the API updates have been.
Yeah, you need to make that up to date. Yeah.
And also the spec at the end. So I think we'll just make updates to the spec as it is. I mean, in the sense, we'll just copy over from the PR that's there, and if the PR changes, we'll update here also. But I think we should get started on the kept PR sooner rather than later, like you're saying, Shing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
there is a lot of interdependency here because Rob's PR, on which Saad commented, once those comments are resolved, then the spec.md will be updated, and then based on that, you will pull that. That will be the single source of truth for pulling that information into this cap.
Right.
It's yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean the logistics are fine. I think it's okay. We can handle this. All right. So okay. So there is another question about spec that I want to bring up. It's a little more technical and implementation oriented. This is not something I have on the slides, but I just remembered it. So one of the things we looked into for having the API in sync between the spec and the API repo was to use the protobuf or protofile as a source of truth for generating the Go types in the API as well. So what I mean by that is the result of generating the Go bindings for the protofile that we define looks like a Go data structure like this. Let's say this, yeah, like that. So you have the fields. You have these three non-imported fields, and you have these other imported fields that are relevant. Now, there are a few concerns that we ran into with this idea. That is, say in the API repo, if you could just import this one structure instead of having to redefine, say, the protocol structure for S3 here and in there in the API repo, if you could just import it, then we'd be following programming best practices, which is don't copy code. However, we did run into one issue, that is the CRDs, the CRD generation fails because of these non-imported fields. So does anyone here know if there is a way to include protobuf generated data structures inside Kubernetes API objects.
I would guess that's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like black magic. I can't even think of another place where that's something like that is done. Because
Yeah.
Kubernetes APIs tend to be relatively pure, and gRPCs or something else that are entirely separate from Kubernetes.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
It's the wire format.
Yeah, it's not gRPC, it's
So-
protobuf.
So do we really want them to be this? Will they always evolve at the same pace?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm not sure that's the case.
Yeah,
I suspect there will be, when a change happens, it will happen on one side first and the other side second, and there will be a brief period where they will be different. We'll be reconciling.
yeah, as long as they're backwards compatible, yeah, we should be able to work with those changes. Now, the reason for considering this is it's better not to copy code anywhere or try to keep things in sync manually by hand. Rather, if you could just import it, there are less chances of incongruence between the two data structures, between the two types.
On the flip side, though, if you depend on them being identical all the time, you will miss situations when you make a non-backwards compatible change because you'll never notice that happening.
And non-backwards compatible change is a big undertaking, correct? We'd be changing.
But I mean, I don't think we would want to allow that. But the problem is if you always make the two identical, then you could like remove a field, which is not backwards compatible, and
right.
you won't see any problems until deployment time because it will get removed in both places at the same time and nothing bad will happen. So like that's an argument for having it be explicitly maintained separately so that when anything
having
protobuf changes,
will,
you'll notice it.
Using protobuf will make sure that it actually fails. Because if you were to remove a field, then protobuf parser will fail. If you remove it on, I see what you mean. If you remove it on both sides, it's not going to be the problem. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Again, it's something to consider. It's yeah, I look at it as it's better not to duplicate it that way if possible. However, like you said, I mean, by hand we can obviously write a CRD based on the structure, and because these fields are not imported, it works just fine. But only if you do it by hand. And if you were to build a CRD by hand, I mean, you're not really reducing the risk of making manual mistakes. So yeah, we later on found that it's as of right now, it's better probably not to go down this path and just have two different definitions.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with that. It feels like the right thing to do.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Okay, moving forward. So so we have we discussed 4 important requirements for doing the demo. When we said we do the demo, we said that when the demo is done, the code will actually be usable, and it'll be high quality code that is well tested, and it's reviewed, not just a smoke and mirrors demo. To that end, I want to again quickly give an update on where we are. So in terms of development, we said we would have the 3 simple features of creating a bucket, creating access for that bucket, and provisioning that bucket for a pod. So I'm happy to say we have these 3 features implemented, and we've tested it. It works. It works with our sample driver. We did have to go ahead and make some updates to the gRPC spec to get this working. So we went over this last week, but I don't think Nicholas was there, so I'm going to go over it again. So in the bucket class, we have a protocol-specific field, which is shown here. And we have an additional field for passing driver-specific parameters, and we call it parameters. And those would directly move on to the bucket as well. They copied onto the bucket. Now, in the gRPC spec, as it was before, we did not have a mechanism to send these two fields separately. We had only one generic map string in the create bucket request definition, and so the only way to move ahead with that such a definition was to combine these two maps into one over here. All the benefits that we were going to get from having protocol be a strictly typed, strongly typed structure would basically get thrown out the door when bucket context is a generic map that combines two different maps, two different structures. So the question that we brought up was, should we make this part into two different fields where we have protocol and parameters? And protocol here also in the gRPC spec would be strongly typed, just like in the API. And so the unanimous answer was yes. It is better to have protocol be strongly typed in the gRPC API as well, and to have a separate generic map string for parameters, just as it is in the bucket class. So it reflects evenly. And so this is the change that led us to having protocol structure defined in the gRPC spec and the protocol structure defined separately in the API repo as well. Nicholas, does that give you the reasons why we went that way? Okay, I'm gonna move forward. So in terms of development, we are in pretty good shape. Now that this change has been done, we are waiting for this to be merged before updating the controller sidecar and the CSI adapter to pull in these changes. But we believe it will be a very quick change. So that's in terms of development. The next thing we focused on was deployment. We have that under control. In order to set it up, in order to set up the whole system, you just need to run 4 kubectl commands. So you just have to do kubectl create -k, k for customize, and the name of each of the repos. So the API repo would register the CRDs, controller would install the controller, sidecar would install the sidecar, and the CSI adapter would install the node adapter. This has been tested multiple times. It's in good shape. The next thing is testing. We have unit tests and CI in place. In terms of end-to-end tests, I was saying this last week. I think before the demo, waiting for the E2E tests to be merged requires allocation of resources for Cozy specifically, and we really don't have control over that timeline. So the best way we can address that is to manually do the E2E testing by the demo time. So that's the one thing I brought up last week about testing. The final thing is documentation. So in the PR that I showed you earlier made to the spec repo, we've also got PRs for it, or in PRs on the works for the other repos. And those are the getting started guides. Just quick introduction to what this repository is for and how to get started, to build it or make changes, things like that. And the spec guide is the PR that Srini was talking about, where he's going to auto-generate the proto file from the spec.md. So again, this is very close to being done. The PRs are in the final stages of review and approval. But before the demo, we want to make sure that all of these are green. Does that make sense? Any questions so far?
If you could go back 2 slides, I believe.
Okay, 2 slides. Okay.
Yes. Just this could cause some confusion because here we are saying install the sidecar as the third step, where I don't think anyone would, if you deploy Cozy, you will never really install the sidecar, right?
Right. So I should be clear.
So if we document the architecture, which we should, then that should not cause any confusion with how things are installed, what the installation steps are.
Yeah, I think we should still have something that I completely agree. First of all, yes, you're right. So first of all, when I say sidecar, I mean the provisioner plus the sample driver. And that needs to be clarified. Yes. Right now, the way it is, it helps you. It serves as a guide for someone who is reading the customized files to figure out how to integrate the provisioner and the sample driver. We've just used the catch-all term for calling it sidecar when we're running both. And I agree. We need to make some changes there in terms of like you said, the architecture, and also even in the deployment guide. I think we can have it be 2 separate steps, maybe, or explain it better. What do you think?
I agree.
Perfect. Okay. So all right. So it's 11:30. We've run out of time. I think Ben says he also has to go right now.
Me too.
Do you have any questions?
No.
All right. So by Thursday, look forward to more updates or more progress on these 4 steps. Ben was asking last week if there is a sample driver that he can take a look at and start playing with. The answer was yes. I'm going to show it again for people who are not aware. So we have a working sample driver under provisioner sidecar CMD/sample driver. And yeah, it's about 143 lines. And it's a very basic one that creates a Minayo bucket and provisions access for it, revokes access, and deletes. It's not sophisticated. It's very basic. It doesn't do every kind of all kinds of use cases, but it's a good start for people who want to start writing their own sample drivers. All right, so that's it from me. If you have questions, again, reach out to me or anyone on the Slack channel, SIG Storage Cozy. If there is no other questions, we can stop for now.
Thank you.